Howdy, howdy folks. In this video, I will cover the top 5 skills you need right now to improve your surveillance. Now, I know there are more than 5 skill sets necessary to be successful as a surveillance investigator, but I wanted to keep this video focused on the 5 things you can start working on right now to help you become more successful. First, let's talk for just a moment on the different types of basic surveillance a private investigator will be involved in. The first and most common is called stationary surveillance, or what many people call fixed surveillance or being on a stakeout. With stationary surveillance, you roll up on scene in your surveillance vehicle, locate a good position to sit at where you can see your subject's house and hopefully his vehicle, and you hunker down and you stay there attempting to gather video evidence. The second type of surveillance, which is often conducted in conjunction with stationary surveillance, is mobile surveillance. Mobile surveillance occurs when your subject becomes active and goes mobile. Now, mobile may be in their car, or it could be in a friend or a relative's vehicle. Mobile surveillance may be conducted while the subject is in a taxi, an Uber, on a bus, or some other mode of transportation. Essentially, what mobile surveillance is the following of your subject, or what is commonly referred to as tailing or shadowing your subject. The third type of surveillance we will discuss in this video is foot surveillance. This is similar to mobile, however, the subject is not in a vehicle. They are, well, on foot. This may happen if your subject goes for a walk, takes their kids to a park, or perhaps you conducted stationary surveillance where you saw the subject leave their house and get in their car. Then you followed them on mobile surveillance to a nearby shopping center. Now you go on foot surveillance as the subject goes shopping for the day. The first tip to improve your surveillance, regardless of where it is, regardless of who the subject is, and regardless of what type of case you are working, is to do your homework before you ever go out on surveillance. Don't just take the basic information you have from the client, the name, the age, the photo ID, maybe it's current, maybe it's not, the address, maybe it's current, maybe it's not, vehicle information, maybe it's current, maybe it's not, and head out the door and hope it will all come together. Take a few minutes and attempt to verify that the information provided is accurate. Now, I know you don't want to spend a lot of money on database searches if you don't have to, and I know under many circumstances you just cannot charge the client for those data charges. But there are some other free means to confirm this information that just requires some time and effort. First, head over to TPS, True People Search, and run the subject and address and the subject's phone number. Does that all match up with what the client provided? If TPS shows a different current address, is the one provided listed as a previous address? Now, this information may be current or it may not, but at least you can see if it matches. And if it doesn't, and you go to the provided address and discover the subject does not live there, you have options to provide the client as to how to move forward. Go on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, places like that. Does the subject have photos of themselves with the vehicle? Does that vehicle match the provided vehicle information? Are there photos of the subject residence? Social media can be used to verify and gather so much information. And you know what? It is all free, gratis, no charge, and it just takes a little time. And many times you can even charge for that time, even if the client won't pay data fees. Now, part of the homework assignment for your case is also to get on Google Maps and Bing Maps and get down to the street level, the satellite views, the bird's eye view, and check the neighborhood, looking for ingress and egress points, possible stationary surveillance positions, and points of interest like schools, parks, shopping centers nearby. And thirdly, in our first tip of doing the homework, is to do a recon if at all possible. I know, there are many private investigators out there that never do this. I know there's many that think it's a waste of time and may even consider it to be very noobish in nature. Well, folks, noobish or not, I know that me knowing what I am going to get into before I get out there helps me ensure the high level of success I have had over the years conducting surveillance. Now, I could just end the video here. We have covered plenty of things, but technically, we've only covered tip number 1, do your homework. Tip number 2 is looking at your stationary position from a holistic standpoint. I have seen many PIs be very one-sided in their thought process of where they set up stationary surveillance. And you know what? I was that very way when I got started as a surveillance investigator. I worried about one thing, and that one thing was getting video of my subject. And that one worry led me to set up very tight, aggressive even, on the residence, Once I got my initial video, I could be a little less aggressive, but I felt like I had to get that initial video at any cost. Now, your main concern may be to see the vehicle at all times, or keep your eyes on the front door, or watch the main exit, or watch the secondary exits, or find a cool place to park, or stay hidden, and that list goes on and on. My advice to you, and my approach these days, is to find a position that does it all. That's right, I said does it all. Okay, I know there isn't one stationary surveillance position that gives you the ultimate advantage for all of your goals. But you can usually find a stationary surveillance position that allows you to keep an eye out for some activity, see if the car leaves, allow you a good follow, and keep you hidden. Most of the time, I would rather have a good follow than to get video at the residence. From my experience, the most video I ever get at the residence is very brief as the subject gets in a car or something like that. The bulk of video is obtained when they are not at home and not in their comfort zone. I know there are situations like in a snowstorm. You might get them shoveling the snow or mowing the lawn on a summer day or working on the car. But those opportunities are rarer than you might think, and they are also more likely to be very apparent opportunities which you can adjust to as needed. So set up where you know you can get a good follow without being compromised, and where you can gain video of activity even if it's from a distance and brief. Tip number 3 is here already. Let's talk about the tail, the follow, the shadowing of your target. Multiple tips inside of tips here, folks, so grab your Big Chief tablet and your number 2 pencil and get ready to write these down. First, make sure you are following the right person. Try to get zoomed in on the driver or the passenger or both and get a good Face ID shot. Now, don't start your follow as soon as they move. This is a dead giveaway that you are surveilling them. Give it a few seconds before you start off. Keep your distance while following. I know this is easier said than done. Follow too close, you will be burned. Follow too far back, you're going to lose them. The act of the tail is better identified as the art of the follow. It is half art, half science, and half luck many times. You can figure out the math on that one. Tip number 4, which is right before tip number 5, and our bonus tip. This is to have a cover story for every case. This cover story is for the event your subject approaches you, if a neighbor approaches you, or anyone else for that matter. Except the police. I never give a cover story to the police. I also never provide them with the entire story either. If I am approached by law enforcement, I simply identify myself as a PI, let them know I am doing a surveillance, and provide them with my license. If they ask me who I am watching, or for more details about my case, I simply state I cannot discuss it due to client confidentiality and to ensure the integrity of the investigation. My favorite cover story is this. I am a process server. I have some papers here, and I am waiting for someone down the street. This is not a lie. I am a process server. I always have some papers with me, and I am waiting for someone. This cover will usually be sufficient in most cases. Tip number 5 already, but wait, there is a bonus tip, so hang on. Tip number 5 is to stay calm at all times and don't react. Just because someone looks in your direction doesn't mean they are really looking at you. Just because your subject made a quick U-turn or went around the block and went back home does not mean you are burned. I have had many situations where the subject did these things or drove through a parking lot aimlessly or other weird behavior only to find out they actually had a purpose for taking those actions. Your fears can become overwhelming at times on surveillance. Don't let that happen. Maintain a good posture. Keep breathing. Think of all the things, not just the bad things the subject's behavior could mean, and stay calm and let things sort themselves out. And a big bonus tip for you involves your equipment. Make sure all of your equipment is ready the night before. Get the cameras on the charger the night before. If you use a battery pack like I do, make sure it is charged and ready to go. Clear off all video from your cameras the night before and check the date and timestamps every day of surveillance. As well, make sure your surveillance vehicle is fueled and the windows are clean the night before. 4 a.m. is not the time to find out you have an equipment failure, folks, so you want to make sure you are prepared. If you want to see a complete list of all of my surveillance gear, I will leave a link below for you. And if you want even more tips on surveillance techniques, then check out this video.